Hello YouTube, I just want to share my thoughts on ranked after playing 100 games. So right now I'm sitting at Ascendant 1, 970 points, and I played exactly 100 games according to StatLocker. My current win-loss is 61 wins, 39 losses, so 61% win rate. And I placed Oracle 5. So with a 61% win rate over 100 games, I went from Oracle 5, which is right here, all the way to Ascendant 1, almost Ascendant 2, right? And obviously some of those games that I played, they were played before the buffs to points, right? They were played back when games gave you 250 points and win streaks didn't give you as much. So if I played all of the matches, if I played the 100 matches after the changes, I would probably be like halfway through Ascendant right now. So I'd be like not that far from Eternus. So I guess the first thing that I want to talk about is the speed at which you climb, right? What are my thoughts on the speed at which you climb? Initially, when rank just came out, I was like, it's a grind. It takes really long time to rank up. They made a couple changes. They buffed win streaks. They buffed the amount of points that you gain and lose. So you gain and lose 300 points instead of 250 originally. My thoughts on the rate of climbing right now, it's still a little bit slow, but I actually think the rate of climbing is mostly fine. But let me explain before people jump my throat for being like, oh my God, how do employed people climb, etc. The speed of climbing is fine, but the season length is not. So that's my biggest problem, essentially, is that if the season is going to be 2 months, which this one is a little over 2 months, then it's still a little too slow. But I think that this was a first season. This is something they're trying. If they want to do seasons in the future again, and they want to do a similar format, I think the season should be like way longer. Like if the season was like 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, like, you know, those like kind of longer periods, then I don't really think people would care that much that it takes a long time to climb, because you'd have plenty of time to get to the rank that you want to be in, right? As long as you're winning. Because when you think about it, I've played 100 games and I've climbed like 1.5 divisions. I went from Oracle 5 to Ascendant 1, almost Ascendant 2 in 100 games. That's not that bad. Like, it is very long, don't get me wrong, but if the season lasts 5-6 months, you know, you can definitely climb multiple badges in one season, right? Like you could, like, even if you're employed and you're only playing, let's say you're employed. When I was employed, I was playing a lot, to be fair, but let's say that you're an average person and you play, I don't know, 2 games a day, right? 2 games a day, I think is like a lot of people might play around that level. So you've got 14 games a week. So that means that you're getting a total of like, let's say a little under 60 games a month. If you have like a 55 to 60% win rate, if the season was like 3-4 months, you could climb multiple badges. So I think that the speed is like, it's fine if the season was longer. Now, the second thing to talk about, which has something to do with the speed, is the loss protection, right? So the loss protection, they made it very aggressive because, so they made the ranked system very grindy, but they made the loss protection very aggressive as well. Meaning that when you get a new rank, it's genuinely really hard to rank down. I've only gone down a rank once in the entire 100 games that I've played. I've gone down a rank once after losing 2 shields, but honestly that almost never happens. You need to be quite unlucky or like really out of your comfort zone. That has both benefits and downsides. The biggest benefit is that, well, it doesn't make the grind feel as bad because it's really hard to rank down, right? So in most cases, if you're ranking up, you'll keep ranking up through playing. Now, the biggest downside, of course, is that even if you have just a 50% win rate, you will climb based on this current system due to 2 reasons. One is the shields, right? So as you can see, for example, here I have a loss where I only lost 120 points, right? And if I scroll back, I'm going to have like some losses where I'm losing 0 points. So this loss here basically lost 0 points. So for example, this day, if you look at this day specifically, it showcases exactly why you're going to climb with 50% win rate. I had a win that was a win streak, right? So this was like, I went on a big win streak. This win was part of the win streak. I got 430 points for it. Then I lose 200 points instead of 300 because it's demotion protected. And then I lose 0 points because it's demotion protected. And then I gain another 300 after that. So I'm up 730 points and I'm only down 200 points. So basically I'm up 530 points despite being 2-2 that day. That's probably like the biggest issue with the rank protection. Now, I'm not actually sure that I don't really think that they should keep rank protection at all in the future. I think that rank protection in general should probably go. I think maybe having some small rank protection for full ranks, like when you get to like Ascendant or Phantom or something, right? Like when you go from like, let's say you go from Oracle to Phantom, having like 2 shields in those situations, sure, you know, I can kind of forgive that. But I think the current system is a little bit too lenient on climbing with a 50% win rate, which I don't really like. You know, is it going to boost a lot of people? The reality is it takes so many games to rank rank up with a 50% win rate that I don't really think people are going to be like that boosted by it. But like, there's definitely going to be like a few people that just play like a ton and don't really have that great of a win rate and still climb. But I don't think it's like a huge issue, but I do think in the future, like I would like to see less demotion protection, especially like, okay, an example that I had recently was there's been a decent amount of like McGinnis one tricks in my games, especially since McGinnis was OP. And then McGinnis got nerfed like really bad. And all of a sudden, the McGinnis players were basically ELO landmines. You would get them in your game, and they would be like way worse than they were before, just because McGinnis went from like being super OP to being much more reasonable, especially the turret build. And when you would get them on your team, you would lose way more often. And when you would get them on the enemy team, you would win way more often. And it took like their rank probably still hasn't been readjusted from the power of their hero, right? So that's a very specific example. Obviously, it's kind of an unemployed example, right? It doesn't really like affect people that much, but I thought it was still helpful to point out to an extent. The win streak bonuses I think are cool, and I think it's okay to have win streak bonuses without having loss streak bonuses, right? Like you don't necessarily want to make people lose a ton if they're loss streaking, because that just like psychologically feels bad. So I think no matter what they do, it's probably going to be a system where, you know, if you maintain a 50% win rate, you'll climb. I just don't think you should climb very fast if you maintain a 50% win rate. Right now, I think you can climb a little bit too fast if you just get lucky through win streaks and loss protection. One thing that people mentioned about loss protection, not knowing how it works, is so like, for example, here with Ascendant 1, I could use all of my shields, get to Ascendant 2, and then if I come back to Ascendant 1, I'll gain all my shields again, right? So every time you get to a new rank, whether it's a demotion or like a promotion, you still get all your shields. Now, my last thought on ranked, and I think one of the biggest successes of rank, in my opinion, and this is honestly the point that I get the most contention on, is the hero selection, the hero swapping. I love the hero swapping. I think it's great. I know that initially there were some people that were going to be like, oh, it's going to be abused, it's going to be this. And yes, there is some meta things you can do. For example, let's say that there's a hero you really don't want to play against, right? And you feel like your bans are not working, because the bans are RNG, right? There's going to be 3 heroes that are banned out of the 12 players in the server. So statistically, you're not going to get your ban most games, right? It's going to be a minority where your ban's going to matter. But if there's a hero you really don't want to play against, like you're like, okay, I really don't want to play against Celeste, you can queue as Celeste and then you can swap off, and that's effectively a ban, right? So yes, the system can be abused a little bit, but I honestly don't think that part is that bad. And I think that having the freedom to swap based on what your teammates are and like the team compositions that you have, I've had multiple games where that's come in handy. And I've also had multiple games where I queue a certain hero, Valve doesn't give me that hero, and then I get to swap and I can play something else, right? So I know that some people are complaining about, oh, they queue ranked and then they don't get the hero that they want, etc. No matter what system we have, even if we had a draft, there would be games where you don't get your hero, right? Because if there's draft, you might not get the hero that you want. Someone else might take it, or it might get banned. So like, there's no system where you're going to get your hero 100% of the time. And I think that this system does a good compromise of giving you your hero most of the time, unless your hero is very, very high, like Prio. So for example, right now I'm queuing Celeste, Calico, Lash, Mina. I'm actually going to put Mina slightly higher prio. But the trick to getting your hero more often is you want to select your hero, double up arrow, and then you want to select other heroes that have high priority. So for example, let's say heroes that usually get picked very often, especially in lower ranks, can be something like Graves in 7. All right, like if you can look at the pick rates on StatLocker and you can kind of metagame it and you'll get your hero more often. And if you don't get your hero, you can always use the change hero thing to swap. So that can be one strategy to get your hero more often. But I do think that the hero like change has been good overall, and I've enjoyed it a lot. I think it's been a good solution. Overall ranked, okay, the last thing is match quality, right? How's the match quality been for me? The match quality has honestly, for me specifically, it has not really been much better. It has been maybe slightly better than before the update, but I think the ranks are still kind of settling in, right? Like it's been a little over 2 weeks, so it hasn't been like a ton of time, and Valve did warn that the first week or two would be pretty rocky. So I think we're at the point where it's starting to settle. It's starting to settle, and the match quality is starting to be good. But there's definitely still matches that are incredibly one-sided, but that's always going to happen. No matter how good like matchmaking is, you're always going to have one-sided matches. You can't prevent that. So I'm not like really too upset about the match quality. And now that I'm in Ascendant, you know, a lot of the kind of like lower elo people that I got in my matches originally have been filtered out, which is good. So I'm fine with the match quality. Overall, I'd say the ranked update has been kind of a success. Now, honestly, I am kind of with the theory that this ranked update is essentially just a distraction to keep the players players playing and interested in the game while we wait for the next content update, which has taken a really, really long time. So, but I do think it has succeeded. Like in many ways, I think many people are like caring more about Deadlock and queuing Deadlock more. So it has succeeded in probably retaining players until the next content update, which was probably at least in part Valve's goal. So I wouldn't say it's a bad update. There's some things I need to look at for sure. But overall, I'm fairly happy with ranked, I would say, itself. So yeah, that's it for the video.